men are more moral than they think and far more immoral than they can imagine. The madman is a dreamer awake. One day, in retrospect, the years of struggle will strike you as the most beautiful. Public self is a conditioned construct of the inner psychological self. Out of your vulnerabilities will come your strength. We are what we are because we have been what we have been, and what is needed for solving the problems of human life and motives is not moral estimates, but more knowledge. Children are completely egoistic. They feel their needs intensely and strive ruthlessly to satisfy them. A man should not strive to eliminate his complexes, but to get into accord with them. They are legitimately what directs his conduct in the world. The challenge of leadership is to be strong, but not rude. Be kind, but not weak. Be bold, but not bully. Be thoughtful, but not lazy. Be humble, but not timid. Be proud, but not arrogant. Have humor, but without folly. Love and work are the cornerstones of our humanness. Obviously, one must hold oneself responsible for the evil impulses of one's dreams. In what other way can one deal with them, unless the content of the dream rightly understood is inspired by alien spirits? It is part of my own being. Most people do not really want freedom, because freedom involves responsibility, and most people are frightened of responsibility. Great decisions in the realm of thought and momentous discoveries and solutions of problems are only possible to an individual working in solitude. A woman should soften but not weaken a man. The more the fruits of knowledge become accessible to men, the more widespread is the decline of religious belief. Just as a cautious businessman avoids investing all his capital in one concern, so wisdom would probably admonish us also not to anticipate all our happiness from one quarter alone. The interpretation of dreams is the royal road to a knowledge of the unconscious activities of the mind. The tendency to aggression is an innate, independent, instinctual disposition in man. It constitutes the powerful obstacle to culture. The liberty of the individual is no gift of civilization. It was greatest before there was any civilization. Analogies, it is true, decide nothing, but they can make one feel more at home. The first human who hurled an insult instead of a stone was the founder of civilization. The great question that has never been answered, and which I have not yet been able to answer, despite my 30 years of research into the feminine soul, is what does a woman want? Illusions commend themselves to us because they save us pain and allow us to enjoy pleasure instead. We must, therefore, accept it without complaint when they sometimes collide with a bit of reality against which they are dashed to pieces. Flowers are restful to look at. They have neither emotions nor conflicts. One is very crazy when in love. Just as no one can be forced into belief, so no one can be forced into unbelief. The goal towards which the pleasure principle impels us of becoming happy is not attainable, yet we may not, nay, cannot, give up the efforts to come nearer to realization of it by some means or other. When one does not have what one wants, one must want what one has. He that has eyes to see and ears to hear may convince himself that no mortal can keep a secret. If his lips are silent, he chatters with his fingertips. Betrayal oozes out of him at every pore. Everywhere I go, I find that a poet has been there before me. Whoever loves becomes humble. Those who love have, so to speak, pawned a part of their narcissism. We believe that civilization has been created under the pressure of the exigencies of life at the cost of satisfaction of the instincts. Analysis does not set out to make pathological reactions impossible, but to give the patient's ego freedom to decide one way or another. Being entirely honest with oneself is a good exercise. A man who has been the indisputable favorite of his mother keeps for life the feeling of a conqueror. We are what we are because we have been what we have been. From error to error, one discovers the entire truth. Where ID is, there shall ego be. The conscious mind may be compared to a fountain, playing in the sun and falling back into the great subterranean pool of subconscious, from which it rises. Sadism is all right in its place, but it should be directed to proper ends. Instinct of love toward an object demands a mastery to obtain it, and if a person feels they can't control the object or feel threatened by it, they act negatively toward it. The more perfect a person is on the outside, the more demons they have on the inside. It goes without saying that a civilization which leaves so large a number of its participants unsatisfied and drives them into revolt, neither has nor deserves the prospect of a lasting existence. Just as no one can be forced into belief, so no one can be forced into unbelief. The scope of one's personality is defined by the magnitude of that problem which is capable of driving a person out of his wits. The task of making people happy did not form part of the plan of creation. When people criticize me, I know how to defend myself, but I'm powerless in the face of praise. Experience teaches us that the world is not a nursery. A complete absence of sex is the only thing which can be properly considered sexual deviance. Everything else is just a matter of taste. Words have a magical power. They can bring either the greatest happiness or deepest despair. Unexpressed emotions will never die. They are buried alive and will come forth later in uglier ways. Religion is an attempt to get control over the sensory world, in which we are placed by means of the wish world, which we have developed inside us as a result of biological and psychological necessities. When making a decision of minor importance, I have always found it advantageous to consider all the pros and cons. In the small matters trust the mind, in the large ones the heart.